So I have a couple of attorneys in the local area that they can recognize immediately when they get someone that is emotion driven. They typically say like the fire hose is in effect, like they're just unburdening all of their emotions. And so they will kind of give them the wording that you just said, like I can listen to you, but I'm charging you by the hour. I have someone who's not going to charge you by the hour, give you a flat rate and kind of help you with that. And so we work through what are they so focused on in the session with the attorney, and how I can help them refocus. And it's mostly questions, very thought-provoking questions that help shift it or activate a different part of the brain. When you're going through divorce and your emotions are high, the executive decision making part of your brain literally shuts down.
Hmm.
Like you're just so emotionally driven. You're trying to seek emotional justice, which I have to tell you, it's never going to happen. So
Not in,
that's part
not
of
on
just
this
being,
platform.
no, it's never going to happen. So sometimes it's just a matter of telling you what you don't want to hear, but that you need to hear
Right.
so that you can refocus. And so um, the attorney may take down the list of things and complaints that they're hearing over and over again. They will give those to me, and then we'll go through a plan of like, okay, this is the main underneath all of these questions, like reading between the lines. This is the issue,
Right.
and so we'll focus. As a coach, I'll focus on those issues with them.
So I think the question that I hear a lot of clients in my head, I hear it like why would I hire you instead of just going to get a therapist? Why?
Mhm. And that's a really good question. And just being honest, there are times where I have people come to me and I will tell them, you need a therapist. I am fine with being honest about that because you need the right professional.
Right.
But what happens is when you, depending on if you were the one to file or if you were blindsided,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to determine your emotional state. And if you were the one to say, I was done, I knew I was done a year ago, then 9 times out of 10, you're ready to move forward anyway. And it's going to be easier as a coach to help you create the vision of yourself moving forward. If you're someone who's kind of straddling on the fence, like, I don't really know if I want a divorce, but I'm tired of these things, then
Mm-hmm.
a coach can help you with that as well, because they're going to help you. What I call it is focus on your marriage identity. Your identity within your marriage may have gotten lost. And so then we can work on that as even as a coach. I think sometimes people, automatically want to go to a marriage counselor, which is helpful. But especially if you don't have the support of a spouse who wants to attend that with you individually, you can always come to me as a coaching client as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's room for both the therapist and the coach. I would say it depends on the person. If you are a person that says like, I need strategies, I don't want to just sit and somebody dissect me or diagnose me, I need strategy and I'm ready to move forward, then that's where as a coach I can help you.
And I think your role is a little more expansive for the reason you just said, right? You
Mhm.
can have a plan in the therapy setting, in the divorce setting. You can have different goals set up with your assistants, and I think that's very very important in the divorce space, right? So I can only handle so many of those goals as it relates to business, but you can help those individuals write out plans for their financial advisor, their therapist, and I think that takes the stress load off because a lot of people don't know where to place that load while they're going through this process. Which brings me to another point because a lot of people call me, they're so afraid. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what to do. They don't know who they can trust, who they can talk to. Kind of that person, how do you kind of walk them off the cliff when they don't, like you said, if
Mhm.
they're blindsided by the divorce or they just don't know what to expect in this process?
And in those instances, it's clarity that they are lacking. They don't feel courageous about the process because they don't have clarity. And so I really help them dig deeper. I ask them those questions. who do you want to become? If they have children, what type of parent, what do you want your children to remember about this process? What do you want your children to be thankful for? What activities are you involved in? What activities are your children involved in? What does your self-care look like? And so a lot of times it's the overwhelm of the emotion comes from the lack of clarity. And obviously you can't think clearly because you're emotionally driven. My role is to be that thinking partner with you. And I say with you because it's your life, you're going to make the decisions. But by the series of questions and the role playing and the planning that I'm able to help you with, then you're able to gain that clarity. And I think it's also important to kind of um, paint a bigger or broader picture of what goals look like in the coaching arena. Sometimes people get hung up on the fact like, oh, I'm not ready for a goal. Like I'm just trying to get through get through this day. That is the goal. Sometimes the goal is I need a strategy for getting through the night because I'm not used to sleeping alone, or I need a strategy for picking my kids up from school, or letting my spouse pick my former spouse pick my kids up from school. So sometimes the goals are not something that's far out 2 years or 16 years from now, even. It's like I need a goal right here in the present to get through the process.
Right. Because a lot of times we have to address the practical matters of divorce for
Yeah.
the reasons you just stated. And a lot of times I think people are overwhelmed because they don't know what to expect in the actual legal process. Like what's going to happen and
Hmm.
how is my ex going to respond and my kids, and the list goes on. So
Yeah.
I love what you represent, because to me your role is just as important as my role in this space if we're looking at the holistic journey through this process.